My wife said monogamy was oppressive. She wanted to explore. I smiled and handed her the divorce papers. 6 months later, she was on my porch, crying into a cold lasagna she made to win me back. I didn't even take a bite. Let's begin. My name is Daniel Miller. I'm 32, born and raised in Ohio, and until a year ago, I thought I had a solid old-school marriage with a woman I genuinely loved, Jenna Brooks. She was 31, bright, creative, charming as hell, and the kind of woman who made Sunday pancakes feel like a spiritual event. We met at a friend's 4th of July barbecue in 2015, started dating right after, and were married by fall 2018. I was a lineman, climbing poles, restoring power, working through snowstorms. She was a freelance illustrator. Artsy, quirky, thoughtful. We bought a cozy 2-bedroom ranch with a tiny backyard and a white mailbox. Jenna insisted on painting lilac. Our life wasn't glamorous, but it was real. We made chicken Alfredo from scratch, binge-watched The Office for the 5th time, and argued over dumb things like thermostat settings and whose turn it was to take the trash out. Normal. Honest. Then it changed. I still remember the exact moment everything cracked. It was a Tuesday. I came home drenched in sweat after repairing lines in the July heat. Jenna was sitting on the couch with 2 of her college friends, Lexi and Tasha. Both were recently divorced, sipping wine at 4 p.m., and giving off this smug energy like they'd finally unlocked some life cheat code by leaving their husbands. I kissed Jenna on the forehead, and instead of smiling, she flinched. That night, she asked why we always watched my shows, why she always cooked, why she changed her last name. And I stood there, blinking, wondering if I'd walked into the wrong house or if I was the last person to notice a switch had flipped. Over the next few weeks, things spiraled. Lexi and Tasha became regular fixtures in our home. Lexi was loud, always quoting spiritual influencers, calling herself a divine energy being, and blaming her ex for suppressing her creative feminine aura. Tasha was more subtle, always hinting that marriage was an outdated institution crafted by men to control women. And Jenna, she absorbed every word like gospel. Suddenly, my wife, the woman who once wrote me handwritten love notes in my lunchbox, was questioning our entire foundation. She spoke in hashtags, hashtag emotional burden, hashtag mental load, hashtag self-liberation. Every conversation became a lecture. Every question felt like an interrogation. One day, I asked if she wanted to go to the fair with me. She replied, "Only if this isn't another way you're trying to reinforce our patriarchal dynamic." I kid you not. We fought. A lot. But the worst part, I started losing her before she ever physically left. She wasn't present anymore. Not emotionally. Not mentally. I tried therapy. I tried listening, reflecting, changing. But she was gone. Her body was there, but her heart had packed up weeks ago. Then came the workshop. Jenna signed up for a $600 weekend retreat called Unbound, Reclaiming Feminine Power and Conscious Intimacy. It was held in a barn-turned yoga studio outside town, with dream catchers on the walls and herbal tea stations labeled empowerment. The moment I saw the brochure, I knew we were done. When she came back, she was glowing. Not the good kind of glow, the kind that says, "I've just found religion, and your role in it is irrelevant." She sat me down and said, "I've evolved. I want to explore ethical non-monogamy." That's right. My wife wanted to see other men while staying married to me. I laughed, thought she was joking. She wasn't. "I want us both to grow beyond the toxic chains of possessiveness," she said, like she was reading from a self-help blog written by someone who charges $300 for breathing sessions. I was stunned, hurt, furious. I asked if there was already someone else. She hesitated, then said it. "His name's Rowan. He led the intimacy circle at the retreat." My wife met a man named Rowan during a trust exercise in a candlelit barn, and now she wanted to bring him into our lives, into our marriage. The rage I felt was quiet, cold, and focused. But I didn't yell. I didn't scream. Instead, I did what any man betrayed by someone he still loved would do. I started planning my exit. I made sure the house deed was in order, premarital asset, canceled joint auto payments on her car, opened a private checking account, met with a lawyer. I wasn't going to be blindsided by a woman who thought cheating was soul expansion. Then, 2 days before she planned her first authentic connection coffee date with Rowan, I placed the divorce papers on the kitchen counter. She blinked like I'd spoken Greek. This isn't what I meant, she stammered. I know, I said, but this is what I mean. She begged, pleaded, cried, said I was being dramatic, that I was throwing away 5 years over a misunderstanding. I looked her in the eye and said the words that broke her. You already threw it away. I'm just taking out the trash. That's how it started. That was day one. But it was only the beginning of my revenge. And her descent into the consequences she never saw coming. By the time Saturday rolled around, Jenna was acting like nothing had happened. She floated around the house like some ethereal being, humming to herself, scribbling in her affirmations journal, and lighting eucalyptus candles like she was prepping for a seance. Every time she passed me, she'd smile like we were in on some shared cosmic secret. But I wasn't smiling. I was strategizing. She didn't know I'd already been to the bank. Didn't know I'd close a joint account and move my direct deposit. Didn't know her car loan auto payment, which I'd been handling for 2 years, was now canceled. She didn't notice I'd taken the original deed to the house and the car title out of the desk drawer, or that I'd visited a notary with my attorney to secure a copy of our prenuptial agreement. Something she'd once joked was just paperwork for people who don't believe in love. I believed in love. That's why I was so dangerous now that I didn't. That evening, Jenna sat on the couch beside me, wearing a silk kimono she probably bought from one of those online enlightenment boutiques. She sipped her lavender tea and smiled, her eyes sparkling with delusion. Rowan says you and I have a unique opportunity. Most couples never transcend the boundaries of possession. We could be an example. I turned to her deadpan. You mean the couple who inspires others to wreck their marriages? She laughed like I was being silly. You're still being defensive. That's okay. Rowan says the masculine needs time to deconstruct itself. If she said, Rowan says, one more time, I was going to glue her mouth shut with sage ash. Cool, I muttered, grabbing my keys. I need air. What I actually needed was freedom. I spent that night not pacing through anger, but calmly arranging the final pieces of my exit. I wasn't just planning to leave. I was planning to leave her exactly what she asked for, a life untethered. Untethered from stability. Untethered from love. Untethered from me. Sunday morning, she left for a connection brunch with Lexi and Tasha. Their cult of performative feminism was now gathering weekly to share energy shifts and open their feminine channel. I bet anything those gatherings had more mimosas than wisdom. While she was out, I did what I've been waiting to do for months. I changed the locks, took down the framed wedding photos, removed every trace of our shared past from the house we once called home. Then I drafted a final document, an outline of what I was leaving her with. Her car, unpaid, her freedom, unfunded, her workshop notes, unrequested, and her spiritual clarity, unaffordable. She returned hours later, carrying a bundle of white roses. I still remember her smile when she stepped inside. She hadn't even noticed the changed locks. She placed the flowers on the counter and turned toward me. I feel amazing, she said. Lexi guided us through an intention circle. I asked the universe to help me navigate this transition gently. I handed her a small folder. Inside, the finalized divorce papers, a financial statement showing all accounts had been separated, and a note that said, the universe delivered. Transition achieved. She looked up at me, lips parting. Her hands trembled. This is real. I nodded once. Tears welled in her eyes, but they weren't regret. Not yet. Just disbelief. She hadn't actually imagined a world where I'd give her exactly what she wanted and walk away. You don't have to do this, she whispered. We can make this work. We can have boundaries, rules, agreements. Rowan said. I don't care what Rowan said. I cut in, my voice calm, but unshakable. This isn't about a boundary. It's about a betrayal you dressed up in buzzwords. I never physically cheated, she said quickly, her voice rising. You emotionally did. And worse, you planned to go further while asking me to smile through it. She stepped back like I'd slapped her. You wanted freedom, I continued. Now you have it. You wanted authenticity. This is mine. I don't want to share my marriage like it's a group project. I want something real. You want evolution? Then evolve without me. She stood there frozen. Then, like a drowning woman grabbing at driftwood, she reached out. Daniel, I still love you. I believe you, I said. But love without loyalty is just self-interest. She collapsed into a chair, silent. For the first time in months, she didn't have a quote, a mantra, or a justification. Just silence. And in that silence, the truth finally reached her. I walked away. Not with rage. Not with sadness. But with peace. Peace she thought she'd find in circles and breath work and intimacy games. But I'd found it in letting go of someone who never deserved me to begin with. 2 days after I walked out, Jenna called me from a number I didn't recognize. I let it ring. She left a voicemail that started off polite, careful, like she was hoping for peace. But near the end, her voice cracked. Please call me back, Daniel. I wasn't ready for all this. That was the first sign her new, authentic life was already unraveling. I didn't call back. The next week, the messages started pouring in. From her, from Lexi, from her yoga instructor, even from some woman named Amira, who said she was part of their sisterhood circle. Each message tried a different angle. Lexi's was condescending. I know this is hard for your ego, Daniel, but Jenna's healing. Tasha's was dramatic. She's heartbroken and trying to find herself. Don't kick her while she's down. One even said I should be grateful that Jenna had included me in her evolution. Grateful? I paid the mortgage, kept the fridge full, gave her freedom, and now I was supposed to be grateful that she lined up a new partner behind my back? Nah. That Friday, I changed my number. I wasn't blocking her. I was erasing her access to the life she used to have, piece by piece. But the consequences? They came fast. By mid-month, her car was repossessed. Apparently, Rowan's energy alignment business didn't cover monthly car notes. She called me again from her mom's landline, voice trembling. They took my car, Daniel. You always paid for it. Can you please, just this once, help me figure it out? I paused, then calmly replied, ask Rowan to help you reconnect with a rideshare app. She didn't even say goodbye before hanging up. But I knew what that click meant. Reality had shown up, and it wasn't interested in her vision board. The following week, I heard through a mutual friend that Jenna had moved back in with her parents. Her father, Reverend Brooks, a stern but decent man, apparently wasn't impressed with her version of spiritual liberation, especially not after she admitted to trying to pursue polyamorous fulfillment while still married. Rumor was, her mom cried the entire first night Jenna was home. Meanwhile, I was thriving. I joined a gym, got promoted at work, even started leading my own team of junior linemen. I bought a new truck, black, clean, strong, nothing like the shared SUV Jenna used to drive around with dream catchers hanging from the mirror. For the first time in years, I had space. No mantras, no detox juice in the fridge, no emotional check-ins that felt more like interrogations. And then came Samantha. I met her at a local fundraiser for veterans. She was helping organize the event, sharp and kind, with the kind of eyes that didn't look through you or try to fix you. They just saw you. She was a trauma nurse, calm under pressure, and most importantly, emotionally sane. No crystals, no enlightenment games. Just a woman who believed in two people choosing each other. Every single day. We went out. Once, then twice. Then every weekend. She asked me once what happened with my last relationship. I didn't lie. I told her the truth, but I told it in summary. She stopped believing in marriage. Wanted to redefine it. I walked away before I lost myself. Samantha just nodded. Good, she said. That's what men with standards do. I don't think I'd ever respected someone more in that moment. But karma wasn't done with Jenna. By month 3, Lexi and Tasha had ghosted her. Turns out, when Jenna started expressing doubts about her authentic journey, they turned on her fast. It's a funny thing with people who preach open-mindedness. It only applies when you're following their script. She was alone, broke, without her tribe, without her marriage, and now, without the man who used to be her emotional anchor. Then came the message, from a brand new Instagram account, one she made just to reach me. Daniel, I was wrong. About everything. I let other people into our marriage. I destroyed what we had, and I've never felt more empty. I miss you. Please, let me make it right. I showed the message to Samantha. She just smirked and said, lasagna incoming. I laughed harder than I had in weeks. She wasn't wrong. And sure enough, it came. The next Sunday, I got home from the gym and found her sitting on my front steps. No shoes, no makeup, puffy eyes, holding a glass dish wrapped in foil. You still like lasagna, right? She said, voice cracking. I stepped around her, unlocked my door and paused. No thanks. I'm full. She didn't move. She just sat there, knees pulled to her chest, clutching the lasagna like it was her final offering to a god she'd spent months mocking. Her mascara had long given up, staining her cheeks in charcoal rivers. Her once brazen energy, the defiant, free-spirited glow she flaunted while she burned our marriage to ash, was gone. In its place was a woman who looked lost. Small. Cold. I stood in the doorway, waiting, letting the silence press on her. "Daniel," she finally whispered, "just give me 5 minutes." I leaned against the frame. "You have 5 years." She winced like the words slapped her. "I know I messed up." "You didn't mess up, Jenna. You chose." Repeatedly. "That's the part you still don't understand." She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand and laughed. A hollow, broken sound. "You always did cut straight to the bone. That's what people with nothing to hide do." She looked up at me like I was a stranger now. Maybe I was. Or maybe I was just the version of me she never thought would actually leave. "I miss us," she said quietly. "I miss laughing at dumb movies. I miss you pretending you hate rom-coms, then quoting every line. I miss how you looked at me like I mattered." "You didn't matter," I said, "until you decided I didn't." "I was confused," she blurted, voice pitching upward. Rowan made it sound like. "Don't you dare say his name." Her mouth shut. "Finally, I'll let you explore, Jenna. I'll let you preach and quote and lie to my face while you emotionally moved on with a man who sells healing oils and bad advice." "It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. You just didn't think I'd walk." She hugged the glass dish tighter. "Please, one chance. I'll go to counseling. I'll delete every app. I'll change everything." I stepped down onto the porch. Her eyes widened like she thought I might lean in, maybe sit beside her like old times. But I didn't. I crouched low, leveled my gaze, and said, "You want to change because you're uncomfortable, not because you believe in what we had. That's not true. You're not sorry you did it. You're sorry it didn't work out." She said nothing. I stood up, pointed to the lasagna. "You think this fixes betrayal? That a pan of pasta is equal to loyalty, trust, 5 years of memories." "I didn't know where else to start," she whispered. "You start," I said, "by walking away." The look on her face, utter devastation. She stood, slowly, hands trembling, but still holding the dish. She tried to speak again, but I opened the door and stepped inside. "Take the lasagna with you," I said without turning around. "I don't eat regret." Then I shut the door. From the window, I watched her sit back down, cry in her hands, and after 10 minutes, stand and walk away. And just like that, the ghost of my marriage finally left my porch. That night, Samantha came over. She walked in, saw my face, and paused. "She came, didn't she?" I nodded. She curled up next to me on the couch. "Do you regret anything?" I looked at her, at the warmth in her eyes, at the trust, at the quiet, solid love, only that I didn't leave sooner. She smiled, then kissed me gently. "Then you're exactly where you're supposed to be." 2 weeks passed. I thought Jenna had vanished for good, but destruction has a funny way of circling back. A letter arrived, handwritten, 5 pages. The first 4 were apologies. The last one, a request to try again. She said she'd cut off everyone, that she'd enrolled in therapy, that she was working full-time and had started saving money. She even included a note from her father, Reverend Brooks, saying she was rebuilding with integrity. I didn't respond, because I had already rebuilt too, without her, and the foundation I stood on now wasn't made of borrowed mantras and borrowed men. It was made of truth, of earned peace, and the strength of a man who lost everything and came back with more than he ever imagined. 6 months after that last letter, I stood at the edge of a new life, not in some dramatic Instagram influencer way with quotes about healing and sunrise yoga, but in the quiet, steady rhythm of a man who had rebuilt from rubble and didn't need to prove it to anyone. I had a home that didn't echo with lectures, a job where I was finally leading instead of surviving, and a woman, Samantha, who didn't need buzzwords to communicate, just honesty and consistency. Jenna, meanwhile, had gone dark. The last I heard, she was working a full-time admin job at a local marketing firm. Her authentic lifestyle turned out to be wildly incompatible with electric bills and dental insurance. Rowan vanished. Lexi and Tasha unfriended her the moment she questioned the gospel of poly-enlightenment. One of her old friends messaged me, just once, to say Jenna was trying to be normal again. that she deleted all the soul coach profiles, burned her vision boards, and hadn't spoken to anyone from the retreat scene in months. She was, apparently, humble now. I didn't respond, because I wasn't interested in updates from someone who once asked me to feel grateful for being cheated on politely. Jenna had gambled that I'd wait, that I'd orbit her spiritual awakening like some patient moon, nodding as she reinvented herself, and then be ready to catch her when gravity pulled her back. But the man she abandoned, he didn't exist anymore. 6 months turned to 8, then a year. That's when it happened. A wedding invitation from a distant cousin. I wasn't planning on going until I found out who else would be there. Jenna's family, her sister, her parents. Jenna, Samantha, and I arrived at the venue together. She wore a navy blue dress that made the whole room seem to lean toward her. Confident, unapologetically poised, not flashy, just undeniably present. We walked in as equals, not one trying to fix the other. People stared and whispered. I didn't care. Jenna saw me during the reception line. Her eyes locked onto mine like a woman who'd just seen a ghost from the life she burned. She walked over slowly, as if each step carried the weight of everything she'd lost. "Hi," she said softly, barely audible above the chatter. I nodded. "Jenna." She glanced at Samantha, then back at me. "You look good." "I am good." Silence. She reached in her purse and handed me something, a folded note. "I wrote this for myself, but I think maybe you should have it." I didn't unfold it. "Not there. Not ever. I hope you're happy," she added, voice tight. "I mean that." I met her gaze, steady and unflinching. "I am. And I hope you find something real. For once." Samantha gently slipped her arm through mine, and we walked away. Just like that. Later that night, at home, I opened the note. It wasn't dramatic. No grand gesture. Just a single sentence written in shaky, familiar handwriting. I understand now that love isn't freedom. It's responsibility. I didn't smile. I didn't cry. I didn't even reply. Because redemption is earned, not requested with lasagna, not begged for in parking lots, and not proven through guilt. And some debts, they're paid not with apologies, but with absence. It's been over 2 years now. Jenna moved to another state. New job. No trace of her old, truth-telling persona. From what I hear, she keeps her head down now. Doesn't date much. Doesn't talk about freedom or open love anymore. As for me, I proposed to Samantha last fall. Simple. Sincere. Just us. No script. No workshop. No permission slips for side relationships. She said yes through tears. Real ones. Not from shame or regret, but from being seen. Chosen. I've never loved anyone more. We adopted a dog, Ranger, a mutt who loves early walks and pancakes. He sleeps at the foot of our bed and doesn't judge me when I snore. My house is quiet. My heart is full. And every now and then, when people ask how I got here, I say, she tried to redefine marriage. I redefined peace. Because I didn't just walk away from a woman. I walked toward the life I was always meant to have.